My son will be joining me on today's video topic, raising a son diagnosed with autism and ADHD. Let's talk it out. Oh, look, there's 3 Dorians. 1, 2, 3. So this video was requested by a friend of mine. I've known her for years, and she's known my son since he was little. And she was asking about his journey, and we were just catching up. We hadn't spoken in years. And she asked if I would do a video. And I said, well, let me ask him about it, because I do not post my son or my daughter at all, really. But I will post Farrah sometimes because she has her own business and she's already public. But I have always wanted to protect his privacy because of who he is, and I always get permission no matter when I post my kids, plus the line of work that I do. I just don't post them. But especially him because of his diagnosis. But I thought about it, and she said it's going to help so many people. And I asked him what he thought about me sharing his journey and sharing our journey and what it was like. And he was like, you know, if it's going to uplift people, go ahead, Mom. And then I came back and I asked him, like, well, do you want to be in the video? He's like, sure. What are we going to talk about? Probably won't say his name. I'll just edit it out and call him my son. Just, you know, it's a protective thing. And here's another thing. I never wanted to capitalize on my son. Some people do that. I know that it is helpful when you post and you share the journey. I wanted to make sure it was his choice that he was online and he was on camera, he was on video. He's about to be 18. He was diagnosed at 4. So here's our 14-year journey of how it started, how it's been, and where it's going. I went from not posting him hardly ever to doing a full-fledged video, but he is on my website, iamdorian.com. He is modeling one of my hoodies. Finish it. I'm very big on words and manifestation and speaking over people, and I didn't want to post him and every time someone sees him, oh, that's her son, he's autistic, he has a disability, he's autistic. And I didn't want him to constantly hear that label, I'm autistic, that means something's wrong with me, I'm autistic. So we're gonna get into all of that and how we handle that in this household. Without further ado, here's my son. Hey, scoot on over, baby. Scoot on over next to your mama. Ah! All right, so if I say your name, I'll edit it out, right? Okay. Your elbows ain't hashing nothing now. We on live TV. Mm-hmm. Okay, hold up. So since this is my show, it needs to have a split this way. Excuse the change of scenery on this first question. We had some technical difficulties, so we had to come back and re-record it. And he answered it the exact same way. Autism at its best. See? I like this better. Okay, cool. Yeah. Take 25. First question. How does it feel when doctors or teachers tell you that you're autistic or you have ADHD?
Well, you're just different than other people, you know? You see things different, you learn things differently. There's different subjects in classes where you struggle with. Like, for example, I struggle with math a lot.
One time you asked me, what type of autism do I have? Do you know what that means? Do you remember what I said to you when you said what kind of autism?
High functioning autism. I have a high functioning type of autism.
Okay, and so what does that mean for you?
Well, I do get help from other people, and I do get support. Yes, but it's not as much as someone who has a low function of autism.
Very good. Yeah. Low functioning. They are usually not in the classroom. You have elevated, even now, your last year of high school from special ed to 504, which is pretty cool. You know, that's a good thing. You're almost out of there. Yeah, yes. So that's cool.
That's awesome, really. And I feel like I progress a lot throughout my life. So, and it feels pretty great.
Okay, good. Next topic, friends.
Oh, friends.
Friends.
Yes, I love my friends.
You love your friends.
Yes.
But you didn't really have a friend until, was it high school or late middle school?
Late middle school.
Late middle school.
Like an actual friend.
Like an actual friend. So he struggled with making friends because with this superpower, autism and ADHD,
it was harder for me to have communication skills.
There you go. Look at me. I was struggling myself. Communication skills and social skills. that was very difficult. And then you were different, you were odd. People would say weird or quirky, and you like to be alone. Even to this day, you're a loner. You like to be by yourself. So it was hard for you to make friends. And I remember you coming home in high school and you were like, man, when I go to school, I sit with a group of people, because I would try to tell him, just sit with people, try to get into the conversation. And he's like, I have nothing in common with them. I don't know if you remember you coming home, you were like, they play these video games like Minecraft. I think that's when that was really hot. And I don't have those games, so I don't have anything to talk about. And you wanted me to get you those games. And I'm like, they're all bloody and violent. And you're like, they're just games, Mom. Remember all that? And I ended up getting you one of those games so that you could be a part, and so that you could be a part of the conversation. I remember too, like you were like, I just don't know how to start conversations with people. This was in high school.
Yeah, well, it was more than just a video. It was more,
yeah,
a lot more than just a video game. Yeah, but that's just one example.
That's just one example. And when you came home, this was in high school. This is when we were in the Richmond house, and I went and bought you sentence stems, like how to start a conversation. And they were like flashcards, and we would go over them to help you start conversations, because you were like, I don't even know how to start just a basic, how are you doing? How was your weekend? So I had to walk you through those things, like ask them how was their weekend, and then wait for them to answer. Then you tell them how your weekend is. So we finally found a friend, right? And he's been your friend ever since.
For like 4 years.
A real friend.
Going 4 years now.
Yeah, him and Auntie W, his mom, and he just came here himself because he's getting ready to start college. He came in June, and they are just alike, if you know what I mean. They have the same personality, the same mindset. You know, they have this brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? So that's one. And then when we moved to Dallas, you've met another friend, right? And y'all are just alike, if y'all know what I mean. They're just alike. So,
yeah.
How do you feel about now having friends?
It feels wonderful. It feels like wonderful. Like we have like, it's more of a brother-sister bond, to be honest. And you have things to talk about. I don't feel like I'm alone anymore.
Right.
I'm a loner anymore.
Right.
Really.
And you don't have to change yourself. They accept you for who you are, and all the quirkiness that, you know, you provide to the relationships and the friendships. And you've even went out to have pizza with one of them. And
oh no, it was more. Yes, it was pizza, and then we went out to the movies with no parental supervision.
Yeah, that was pretty.
I've never done that before.
Right. And I had to, you know, like you said, you had no parental supervision, and that was really a first for me. That was the first for me, letting you be on your own and letting you do it. Let's talk about girlfriends and how I felt about that and how you have felt about that. Maybe other people wanting to influence you. How do you feel about that? Like, do you think that is something that's important to you? Okay, so for example, you told me the other day 2 girls walked up to you and they were like, we like you. How do you respond to that? Tell them how you responded. It was hilarious.
I said just act all confused. I just act all confused and everything.
He's acting like he was confused, like he didn't know what to say or what to do. You probably did it.
No, I didn't.
Right.
I didn't.
Right. So you weren't acting confused. You were literally confused.
Because I'm not prepared for stuff like that, really.
Right. Right now your focus is on education. But other people have influenced you, you know, even people in your family. You need a girlfriend, you need a girlfriend. No. It's just not the time right now.
Right. Too much. There's too much stuff that I'm looking forward to, and doing that right now, especially when I'm about to graduate. It's not really
good. Good. And so when they approach you, that's when you bring out all the quirkiness and the weirdness and the spinning of the head that you used to do when you were little. You bring all of that out right now. That, you know, repel them. I'm just kidding. This was huge. Struggling in school. STAR test, or end of the year, they call them end of the semester, some EOCs. He said, yeah, your biggest struggle was math. And so how did you handle the homework, and then how our relationship was when it came to homework and assignments?
Like you said before, they put up a system to where where there's kids like me who struggle a lot. You get like extra time. They give you a calculator. They elaborate on things. They read the questions to you in case you don't understand it. And so and so yes, I do struggle in math a lot. I'm not Albert Einstein. I'm not an Albert Einstein.
Right.
But yes, and yes, and then there and yes, and then that's just how I used to get through school because yes, because it's hard sometimes.
Right. And I didn't want to put you in special education because it was the label and what that would mean for you, what that would look like, how that would make you feel. But I had to set that, mindset down and I put you in there, and you've been in there since, elementary, middle school, and high school, and it really helped you. But I know that there was such a struggle when it was time to test, and just the anxiety that will come upon you because all the other kids are finishing and you're still working on yours, or I'm the only one left. I'm still by myself, still trying to finish, or taking the extra hour or two. But one thing that I did not do was put that pressure on you once I realized what your struggle was. Like if you were like, I didn't finish my homework, it's not to say I didn't care, but I'm not gonna put that pressure on my son. Or if you felt like you didn't do good on a test or on the STAR test, okay, you didn't finish. It was one thing I make sure I did, was not allow that pressure.
Because really all these tests they give you are really just not really worth it, to be honest.
Right, the anxiety and the pressure and the crying and the upsetness that you experience. So being labeled autistic and ADHD, you have an older sister. So how has that relationship been? How do you think she's treated you over the years?
We click really good.
Mm-hmm.
Me and her, we click really good. We get along well. She supports me and I support her in what she does, and it's really great, to be honest.
And she's always been like another mother to you, to be honest. And she's always looked out for you because there are times you used to get bullied and you didn't even know you were getting bullied. I don't know if you remember a lot of these stories, but one time you were on the bus and this boy said, "You must like fried chicken and watermelon." And you were like, "Yeah, I do." You were like answering the question, but you didn't realize that they were being racist towards you. Because, it's this, known thing that black people like fried chicken and watermelon. And you were like, it's like you didn't get sarcasm. A lot of times you didn't get sarcasm growing up and jokes. Like I would say, "No way, Jose." And you would say things like, "That's not my name." And you would tell me your name, right? I mean, it's just something about the way you guys think that you didn't really tell jokes. You didn't get jokes. Like you were literal. It's black and white. And like, why did the chicken cross the road? Well, first of all, a chicken doesn't, you would go into all that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh my God, this boy doesn't even get jokes or sarcasm. And that's just the way you guys think. What?
No, I just wasn't really I just wasn't really a jokester then.
Right. And then I remember the first time you told a joke, I was like, oh my God, he told a joke and it made sense and it was funny. So that's pretty cool. I also remember one time, Farrah has always looked out for you. Whether y'all had the sibling rivalry stuff, which y'all really didn't. I didn't allow that in my house. What were the 3 rules in my house?
No lying, no stealing, and no bullying.
That's right. We didn't lie. No lying, no stealing, and no bullying. No bullying people outside of this house and no bullying each other. I didn't allow you guys to hit each other, call each other stupid. Stuff that, regular brothers, that energy wasn't good for my house. So, but what Farrah would do though, if somebody was bullying you and you didn't know it, one time she said she had got on the middle school bus, even though she was in high school. Some boy was picking on you. She got on the middle school bus and she's so little they thought she was a middle schooler. But got off the stop where he was and gave him some words and then had her cousin come and pick her up. So she doesn't play when it comes to you. That's one thing for sure. And she has been she's been a helper for me though, because there were some times where it was hard dealing with you because I kept seeing you as, you're a normal kid. You do this, you do that. So why can't you do this? And she would be able to step in and understand and talk to you and just be there for you when I wasn't getting it sometimes. This was early on. And I remember, and we don't have to get into detail what happened. I remember that one time we had a real tough day. It was a tough spot in the garage. You remember that? Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't have to get into the detail of that. But me and you, we just came to a head. And I don't know, I think this was right when you're about to go into high school, because we were in the Richmond house. So it was not too long ago. At least 4 years ago, something like that. And it was bad. That moment was bad. And I had to call Farrah in there And I was like, Farrah, you better get your brother. You better get your brother. And I'm laughing now, but it was so intense. But we never had another moment like that, ever. We only had one moment like that. And it was eye-opening for me to say, okay. I think it was more like, because I was a black mom and we were taught to just yell at you, whoop you, you know, scream, you know, that kind of stuff. And that just wasn't working for us. I stopped doing that a long time ago, but sometimes it will come up like, oh my God, just do it. What are you talking about? Why you didn't do this? And I kept forgetting, you're who you are, okay? And I had to keep remembering, this is who he is. It's not gonna change, you know? You've been this way, this is who you are. And I had to change. I made a lot of mistakes. You know, a lot of times, you know, I really felt bad, you know, afterwards I'm like, oh my God, I keep forgetting who he is, how he thinks, his process. And it caused a lot of unnecessary, you know, but you were always so good-hearted and so sweet. Like you forget about it in the next 20 minutes and you be back, you know, thinking and talking to yourself or thinking in space or something like that. When you were little, you used to, when the ceiling fan would be rotating, you'd be doing that. And if it was in public, I'd be like, oh my God, would you stop? You would just do certain things, quirky things in public. And I just had to say, you know what, baby, spin your head. If that's what you want to do, because as long as it doesn't what?
Hurt you or other people, then it's all good.
That's right. When you want to do things in life, as long as it doesn't hurt you or it doesn't hurt other people, you go for it. So if you want to spin your head in public and talk to yourself and do, because I still talk to myself, everybody should talk to themselves, then you do that. I had to just release a lot of things and just stop. And I never tried to change you in the sense like your personality. It's just I had expectations of you that you just were not going to meet, because you are who you are. You feel what I'm saying? You know, one thing when you were younger too is you always thought that everybody was good-hearted. Like everybody was good. Everybody was, you know, for me. And you would, like, especially when you were little, you just hug everybody and you just have you lean and you lean more towards good-heartedness. You're a very kind person, very patient, and you're just a sweetheart. And you didn't really read people that well. Everybody was good. And I'm like, Jan, that boy is the devil himself, or that girl is evil. Don't you see all the darkness? You didn't. But that helped me. You were created the way you were created, because especially during the 7-year marriage and everything that I went through, y'all can go back and look at all my other videos. Having you and Farrah was like my lifeline, because you, sometimes when I would be so distressed and I would have my face like this, you would walk up to me and you would literally push my eyebrows up.
I did?
Yes, you did. And you would have this big smile just like that. Like you just smile. You would come in my face and you would smile and you would say, are you okay? What's wrong, mommy? And it would just lighten me up, because you never wanted to see me sad or down. And sometimes you would think that it was your fault. Like you would do something and then I would have this face. It had nothing to do with you. And you think that it was you. And that's the reason why. No, I was just trying to make it. I'm like, I'm a single mom with 2 kids. And even when I was in the marriage, just us, you would just always want, you want to get that?
Yeah.
You want to sit there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, even in the marriage, you would always just be light and just joyful. And so you were meant to be that way. And so if you would be different, then I don't know how I would have made it. That's why I fully accept who you are. So a supportive parent, or having supportive parents when you're autistic, whatever diagnosis a kid has, how important is it that they have a supportive parent to accept that? Or even you can use examples, and I don't care if you know,
like,
talk about me.
Like
How has it been with me in your diagnosis? Like, how do you feel I've treated you, or I could have done things differently or better?
Like there's a lot of things.
Would you like me to give you a topic?
Yes.
Okay, driving.
Right. Oh yes, that I get, like, when it, yes, like I get I'm autistic, yes. I know it's driving, and there's a lot you have to go. You have to watch your surroundings. You gotta pay attention. You gotta signal. It's basically different directions you gotta do at one time. And so I get, and you know, as for last year when you was teaching me how to drive and all that, we would drive to different places. I understood that you didn't want me to get in trouble or get into an accident or hit somebody.
kill somebody.
It's yes, I understand that 100%. But the thing is, it kept on stressing me out because because you would yell when I was doing something, or that I would
You can look at the camera. You can get me. Yeah.
Or I don't signal when I have to, or if I don't have like or
if you don't change the lanes, just when you would do things that you're not supposed to do when you're driving.
And then it would tense me up. And that was what tensed me up.
Right. And I was wrong for that because I'm like, I just taught Farrah how to drive. I mean, what's the problem? Turn your signal light on. But again, it's just like with sports. It's too many directives. It's the signaling. It's the blowing the horn if someone else is out of order. It's the changing the lane while you're signaling. It's knowing where you're going. So that was pretty intense. And I wish that I wasn't so, aggressive. But I did change. It got to the point where it's like, okay, he's going to kill people if you keep doing this. But it was just, again, it goes back to, and I'll probably explain this once you leave camera. It's the way that we were taught and how we grew up, the toxic environment of the yelling and the screaming and the snapping at kids instead of just looking to say, okay, so son, this is how you need to do it. I mean, it just goes back to our history, just as Black people. That's just how we knew to do it. You whip them, they're going to get in line. You yell on them, they'll get in line. And so that's kind of what was going on with the driving. Look who's here. Look who is here, y'all.
What's up, gang? I'm just saying hi.
Are you just saying hi?
Yes. You okay?
You gonna get it back for that later? Oh, definitely. He said, oh, definitely. He's coming for you. He's coming for you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so that's what was going on in a lot of the way I was raising you guys. Okay, so let's talk about moving to Dallas and your feelings. We moved here last year. Officially, I came first, and then you guys came. But I have been preparing y'all for 3 years. I had just been shooting it out there. I'm moving to Dallas. I'm thinking about moving to Dallas. And the first time I told you, it was difficult for you to process. That's why I told you way in advance, because for you, transition is not always easy, and change, you have to be prepared for change and transition. I mean, even when I used to drive to Granny's house, and if I chose a different route to go, you'd be like, this is not the way to go to Granny's house. This is not how we go to Granny's. And and you would be serious about it in the back. This is not the way we go. It has to be this, and that. And I'm like, I'm just gonna stop at the store first, and then we're gonna go. Then we'll get back on our regular. So how was it, when we moved to Dallas? When you finally accepted it, or when I told you and you wasn't really feeling it? Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. I was totally against it.
Speak up just in case I have the mic.
I was totally against it.
Yes.
To be honest,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to move because I at that time I thought I felt happy where I was.
Mm-hmm.
I at least I thought.
Mm-hmm.
But then I remembered that. Yes, but then she's right. Change is sometimes good, because now I'm here in Dallas right now, and it feels, and I'm actually being even more successful than I was in Houston.
Right. That's true. I mean, you have friends, you have a great job, you're about to graduate. I mean, you're just happy, and it took me 3 years. I know, because I know you, and I learned who you are, and I accepted that. I wasn't just gonna say, hey, we're moving to Dallas in 6 months, whether you like it or not. I knew I had to prep you. That's why I kept throwing it out there, so you could process it. And sometimes you would just stare like, oh my God. Because of the change, you would be moving yourself away from everything. But then your friend, your first real friend, he just moved all the way across the world. And that kind of helped you process it too. Like, if he can do it, and you guys think alike, you guys are the same. He helped you a lot with that too.
Yes, he helps me with almost everything.
He helps you with almost everything. And that's just who you are. If you need help with everything, you do. But once you get it, you got it. Personal space. We had to work on personal space when, you would come and talk to me. Like, sometimes you'd be right here in my face, and you would just be asking me, hey mom, I need, and I'd be like, personal space. Yes, we had to work on that. Oh, let's talk about religion and church, and how we used to always go to church, and why you put your head
Cause I know you. Cause I know you.
What you mean you know me?
Like, I know when it comes to that church and religion stuff.
Okay.
When it comes to that church and religion stuff, and I agree with, and I sort of agree with it, with everything you say about it. You know.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What do I say about it?
Well, we shouldn't need a church to have a relationship with the Most High.
Right.
And that yes, and that
it has its place.
It has its place, yes.
But you shouldn't be forced to go because someone says you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. I teach that you need to follow your intuition, you need to follow your heart, and if that's what you're led to do, then you go to the four walls. If you're not, it's between you and your creator. That's what I teach. But we used to be heavy in the church. I mean, you were a pastor's son, so to speak, when we were in that life. That was a whole other lifetime. And we were in church all the time. That was y'all's life. The only songs you knew were praise and worship songs. The only, and that leads us to a really, really good question about you being who you are and as parents accepting you, like the things that you're into. So how do you feel about that? Without saying too much, how do you feel about me allowing you to be you? Because you are into some things. Like one day you'll be into this heavy, used to be into, when it was Shrek, it was Shrek. You know what I'm saying? When it was this, it was that. And you would just be not obsessed with it, but attached to it, just into it. And that's all you were into. But someone else may say that's weird. That's odd. So.
Yeah, yes. Everybody's into their own thing, to be honest. And they're gonna, and the reason why, they'll call you anything, to be honest. And I just ignore it because that's just me, to be honest.
Right.
That I'm into this sort of music, I'm into these sort of movies, and and there's always gonna be those type of people that won't want to try to change you,
Yeah.
And not to mention different beliefs.
That's true. Also, just about me posting you and how you felt about that and being posted without your permission, because I never did that. So how do you feel about your privacy?
I mean, I feel, yes, I value my privacy. I do value my privacy, and if you want to post, if you want to post me, depending on what you're talking about, depending on what you're going to be talking about, then you can, and I even agree to be featured in this.
Yes, you did agree to be featured in this. That is good. I have accepted you for who you are. I just want to say that I'm very proud of you, because this is just a short video. We could not put everything that we've been through with this journey, the good, the bad, the ridiculous, the ugly, the just, we can put all that in a video, but I'm proud of where you have come, because I remember the struggle. I mean, even to this day, you still walk around with one sock on your foot. At 10 months old, he was walking around one sock, and I had to learn that was an autistic thing. That's a sensory thing. And how I felt when they diagnosed you, my family, some family back in Richmond, they noticed something was off, before I did, like something was different. And then when I finally noticed, I was like, okay, I took you to a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a speech therapist, your pediatrician. And I said, okay, something's, and then they tested you at that long day of testing, and they would put trucks in the line and ask you which is the front of the line. Normal people would say, this is the front. You always said this is the front. And she would say, most autistic children would say that this is the front. And then, so we went through all of that because you're used to say Bera instead of Farah. So you had to go to speech therapy. You used to use a B instead of an F for her name. Where's Bera? You would call her Bera for a long time when you should have been at that age saying Farah. So I took you, I allowed you to be diagnosed, and I allowed them to say this is what you have, because you were and you are different. You are. But look at you, you're thriving. We struggled. I remember the tears from both of us, the crying, the frustration. You would come to me and say, I just don't get my homework. I would say, just don't do it. I just don't do it. Just don't, because I don't know how to do it. You don't know how to do it. Just put it up. It was just so frustrating, Look at you now. Look at you now. You have a great job. You know how to handle your finances. Your teachers, your principal, everybody knows you at your school, and they have so many great things to say. Every time I see them, I come and get you. They're just, oh my God, your son. And I'm just proud of you. Even when you go to work and you come out of the store, you always have something in your hand. Mom, I saw that we were running out of this and I bought this, I bought that. So I love you, you know.
I love you too.
I love you for who you are. And driving, help us, Lord, because I know that you know how to drive, but you know, having your own car because you're about to go to college next year. And we toured the college, right?
Yes.
You toured it, you love it, you're ready to go there. But it's a 30-minute drive on the Dallas freeway with the Dallas demon drivers because it's a different breed of drivers here in Dallas. And, you know, just me having to overcome some things in my own mind that you can do this, you can drive, you can get there. You believe that you can do it?
I believe it.
He's like, we're going to work on that. We're going to work on manifesting that you can drive and you can do it. You can get out there and handle it. So, but those are things that come with who you are and the way that you think, your superpower of autism, ADHD, just your attention. That was the thing that I had to understand. Okay, his attention. But I never want to put you on medication, and I'll talk to them more about that later and why I chose to not go that route and what I chose to do instead. But is there anything else that you'd like to say to the people?
No.
What a great mom
She's a great mom.
Really?
Overall, a great mom. I would never been here if it wasn't for her. So
he said overall. That is true, because I have not been perfect when it comes to, you know, figuring out who you are, but over the last few years we've been doing really good. We've been doing great. And so it's never that I was embarrassed and I didn't want to post my son. No, I want to respect your privacy. And now that you're about to be 18, you can make those decisions. Do you want to be on camera? Do you want to be online? And I didn't want people looking at you like, oh, he's autistic. You know, I just didn't want that for you, because you're more than that. You're more than a diagnosis. I mean, your personality, everything that you're funny, you're hilarious, you know, you're so handsome. Yeah. And just, you know, not blaming myself like, what did I do wrong? Oh, you know what? And then I used to think, where did he get this autism from? Because he must have got it from his daddy's side, because I know, you know what I'm saying? I used to think like that because I know he didn't get it from me. Like one time you got hit in your head when you was at Granny's by the screen door. I don't know if you remember that, but you did. And I was like, well, maybe that's when it happened. I mean, just little myths. And then remember the 911 call. So I used to be a 911 dispatcher, and they called and I was like, 911, what's your emergency? And I had my headset on and I was over here typing whatever they were saying, and I had my foot on the button for the ambulance and my other foot for the fire department. And they were like, we have a 6-month-old and he has a fever of 106, and I'm taking the information. I said, so please tell me your location. They told me the daycare, and I was like, I have a 6-month-old who goes to that daycare. And I continued to take the call. I was like, please tell me the race. They were like, he's a black male. I was like, I have a black son, right? And it was you. And so I took the call, and I was already at the police station. I threw that headset so far once I was finished with the call. I did. I was like, oh no. You know, they said black male, 6 months. They were telling me that they couldn't reach me because I wasn't answering my phone. They're like, the mom's not answering her phone because I was in the 911 booth. And in the booth, you couldn't have your cell phone. You couldn't have your phone at the time. So when I got there, they had you wrapped up in this taco, like an ice taco. Like they had your body like this, and it was ice and plastic all around you. Try to hurry up and bring the fever down. I think they even put an icicle up your butt because sometimes it helps to bring the fever down faster. And after that, I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go teach or something. But I was like, okay, you were 6 months old. Maybe that's when it happened. Instead of just saying, forget it. I don't care how it happened, or was it a vaccine? This is who you are. This is who you will be, and I wouldn't change it for the world, because you've been a blessing to me, whether you know it or not. You've been a true blessing because of your personality is so calming. And you know, I'm really, and I had to be feminine and masculine to be a mother and a father, because I accepted you for who you. I went to the doctor. I went to the school and said, okay, here's the paperwork. When I didn't have other people supporting me, I went to the school with the paperwork, and I put you in the special ed program. I went to all the art meetings when I was going by myself, and people were just saying, you need to just put him in sports. He needs to be around more men. And how did you feel about that too? Not being raised with a father, you know, with your condition. And do you feel like a male counterpart, or, you know, do you feel like a male in your life or in the household would have changed you or made it better or different for you?
Probably, depending on what kind of man he is.
Okay. It's true though. You can have a man in the house, but if they don't accept who you are and they want to change you and feel like you just need more Jesus, feel like you need church, feel like you need to just be put in a boxing ring and just get beat on. He needs to be put in if you feel like that, then that's not going to change who you are. I can't teach you how to be a man, but I feel like I was a perfect parent to raise you in that season, going through school, because I believed in you, I supported you, I understood your limitations, and I accepted them, and didn't try to fix you. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where you got a lot of your frustration from, that part and that side of people trying to fix you and change you. So I think you turned out great, and you're doing great. I really do. I'm proud of you. I love you. I'm not gonna cry, but I think that you are just the most outstanding young man. After everything that we've been through, just
give you that. I'll give you that. I'll definitely give you that.
that you're a great, awesome man. Humble much?
You said.
But you're right though. You're right though. You need to, have that confidence that you are a great young man. You are. You're not like
I didn't mean that.
Right. And I've never had to go to jail for you and things like that, and never had to pick you up off the street. And we've also talked about when you're driving and with who you are, when police stop you, especially being a black male, sometimes they may not understand your movements and understand what you're doing, or if you're moving slower. We've talked about how to handle police officers too, because I've seen videos where autistic children have gotten beat, put to the ground, because the officer doesn't realize why you're doing what you're doing. So we went over how to handle those situations, where to keep your hands, where to put your wallet, things like that. Because, I was like, when you were young, maybe I should get a bracelet that says, don't throw me to the ground, I'm autistic.
Always put your wallet on the
dashboard. As soon as they pull you over. Yeah, things like that. Turning your camera on, and just, that has always, I've had so many different, things in my mind that I've had to overcome too. But thank you for joining us on the You Living Intuitively broadcast. All right, I'm looking for some great things to come out of you, son.
All
right, bye.
Raising my son has been a blessing. When I first didn't understand why he was the way that he was it my fault? Did it come from the other side of the family? And none of that really matters. One thing I do want to say is, for Black people, we were told that autism, ADHD, Asperger's, all those spectrum thingies, they were for white people. So when our kids are born this way, we're just taught to whoop them, spank them, beat them, take them to church, so that they can cast the deaf and dumb spirit out of them, instead of being practical and looking at what issues they may have. The truth of the matter is, Black people could not afford to go to therapists, psychiatrists, psychologists. So that's why we said it was a white people's thing. No, they just could afford to go get their children diagnosed or see what was going on. And we just used the free methods of the belt, the switch, take them to church, let the pastor lay hands on them or yell at them, and that was not productive at all. And that is not effective at all. And it's not a white people's thing. It's a human thing. And one thing that I have done, I will say, is I have chosen to manifest and speak over my son, and to not allow the labels to speak for him. That is one of the reasons why I didn't post him, is because I didn't want people sending their energy his way. He's autistic, he's disabled, oh, her son has challenges, oh, he's autistic, come do this. And I believe in the support groups. I believe in getting with other people that are experiencing the same thing, but I do not believe in allowing the label to limit. That's one thing I will not allow. I will not allow, and I never allowed the label to limit. Don't allow the label to limit. Speak over your child, see their greatness, and call that out, above anything else. Accept and embrace the challenges and see how to work with them. I do believe in medicine. I do believe that it has helped students and it has helped kids. I used to work in special education, and so I would see the kids that were on medication and how loopy and drowsy and just out of it and spaced out they were. And I didn't want my son to be that way. So I chose to, when we were all around that table with all the doctors and all the specialists, I said, when they offered and they suggested, shall I say, medication, And I said, no. What's another way? They said, well, if you don't, you're going to have a lot of work on your hands. And I said, I'm going to go that route. What do I need to do? And they said, well, when you go home, you're going to have to buy these games. You're going to have to buy these cards. You're going to have to buy these tools, these materials, these resources, and you're going to have to implement them. And you're going to have to work with him every single day. And that's what I've been doing for the last 14 years. It's constantly repeating myself. It's constantly redirecting, even to this day, repeating. You know, he's learned how to cut the yard. And there are certain things, like yesterday, he did something that I have told him 40,000 and 50,000 times and 17 times, 0.2 times, plus 3. And he just, and it is what it is. So either I can get frustrated, yell, or stressed out, or I can just repeat myself and say, son, remember, this goes here, and this how this goes here, and that goes there. And then we get the yard cut, right? So it was repetitive. And I chose to go that route. But I believe that there are students and there are kids that will benefit from medication. Do you. That's what my channel, this channel, you living intuitively. Follow your own intuition, what's best for you and yours. And so for mine, I said no. He was not always the angel that you see, the one who gives me a kiss and a hug every single night. Even when I fall asleep or I'm not thinking about it, he's knocking on my door. I just came to say goodnight. I just came to say goodnight every single night. And if I am asleep or he doesn't know if I'm asleep, he'll send me a text, good night, if I didn't answer my door. And so when he was smaller, he would push and he would, you know, be aggressive even at home and fight his sister and push and, you know. And I said, you know what? I'm going to speak over you. I'm going to talk over you, and I'm not going to allow the doctors to speak over you. Fine. You want to put the label? Fine. This is what he's going to need. He's going to need extra time in school. He's going to need accommodations. He's going to need modifications. Fine. Okay. But I'm not going to just allow this label to limit him. I just refuse to. And it's not too late. You know, depending on your situation, everybody's circumstance is different. It's not too late to try to take a hold of your circumstance and your situation. And again, this video was however long it's going to be, but it does not touch the surface. I'd have to have a whole conference. I'd have to have days to talk about the true challenges and the true thoughts and the patterns that I've had to shift and change in order for us to have the relationship that we have right now. And I remember talking to people and telling them stories about stuff that he would do. I mean, sometimes it was just teenage stuff, and some stuff was tied to his condition. Is like, son, you're walking out of the house with that on, shirt totally backwards. I know you feel that tag tickling your neck. I know you feel that, son. Oh, okay. I know you do, but maybe you don't. and I'm not joking. I took a picture like a month ago, and he was standing in the kitchen eating pineapples with one sock on his foot. And I have a video, I may try to insert some, where he's standing on the top of a bed, like the top of it, watching TV, doing sign language with one sock on his foot. And, you know, and no lie, Farrah has been great. I remember her also in diapers. They're 17 months apart. Her in diapers, you know, helping me to help him, both in pull-ups. And she's telling him to get down from a high place. But I'm watching him. He's fine. But she's like, get down, get down. So she's been that way since he was little, and she's still that way. So hope this video has helped. If you have any questions or you want him to come and answer some questions that we didn't really get to, I just wanted to introduce you to him and just put it out there that I do know what you're going through. I know what it looks like, you know, but I've never put that out there that I have an autistic son and who has had issues with ADHD, because that's his story, that's his journey. Some people have huge platforms that are surrounded by that. That's their journey. That's what they are supposed to do. But I know him, and he's very sensitive, and he's very, you know, I know y'all saw him, you know, flexing on himself, but as he should. He's come a long way, you know. And I've definitely had to face my own fears when it comes to him. And sometimes it wasn't the label that would limit him. My own beliefs would limit him. Like, can he do this? Can he do that? And I would have to step back and allow him to either do it or don't do it. And if he wasn't able to do it, then I would step in. Just started his senior year. Now I have a whole year to change my thoughts that he can do it. Because when he first said, this is where I want to go, Mom, this is where I'm going, I got online like, do y'all offer transportation for autistic kids? Do I need to move next door to the school? And even when he talks about living by himself, yeah, when I get my own apartment, I'm like, behind my house. Because again, respecting his privacy, there's more to it. And anybody that has a child like this, you know there's more to it. Just the thought of them out there on their own, when you know some of the things that they do,
in the way that they see life, it's scary. But I have to take those thoughts. Y'all know how I do on my channel and everything else. I'm doing the same thing with my son. He can do it. If he needs to drive, he'll be able to drive. He'll be able to handle the roads. By that time, the construction will be fixed. The lanes will be clear. He'll know his route. We'll drive there a couple of times. He can do anything. And just changing my mind and changing my thoughts and helping him change his own thoughts. Because when he gets on the freeway and he has to drive behind me or follow me or something like that, we just did that recently. He's going a little slower. And I'm like, son, you can't get on the freeway like that. You know, it's been a journey. And it still is, just making sure that I'm not limiting him and not letting others limit him because of his, challenges that he has to face. And I understand that this is a son I have, and he'll probably be with me, live with me, for a while, or be living right. When I say around the corner, I mean, I walk out the back door, there's his front door. It's gonna have to be that way. Lord have mercy. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna get back to my series, The Prayers That We Pray. But these other videos are just coming in. I have to follow my intuition. And so continue to join the journey, follow the journey, subscribe, share, like, comment, tag, and I'll see you in the next video.